Hey, what's up, guys? We're at Justice Gaming with Dalwheel, and this is going to be his second place Plunder Patrol Adventure deck profile. So it's been his signature deck the last few months, really, and I think that he has a great build that you guys should definitely check out if you're interested in the deck. It's one of those decks that will take a whole tournament by surprise, as he did with this one. So, any comments or shouts before we get into the deck profile?
Nothing truly to comment, but always shout out the Shadow Realm. Let's go.
All right. Is this a 40 card deck?
Yes, it is currently a 40 card main deck. I was shifting between 40 to 42 cards through the past few formats, but I found a 40 card list that I'm pretty happy with now.
Awesome. Let's get into it.
Let's get into it. So, started off, we've got 3 Whitebeard. Probably the single best main deck name. Upon being sent to the graveyard from your field or from your monster zone or your hand, it summons one from the deck. That's just fantastic. Plus, it has the tag out ability on your opponent's turn, which gets you access to any of the extra deck ships. It's just all around fantastic. There's almost never a bad time to have it in your hand, and I love this card so much. Then we have 3 Black Eyes. Black Eyes is probably the favorite one between my friend group. This card is absolutely amazing. Plus, you may not realize it, but it summons itself, then adds the card to your hand, so it will still summon itself if they DD-crow your target, which is absolutely insane because you still get the body on board, which can lead you to synchro plays or link plays, even if you don't get the card to your hand. It's disgusting. This card is absolutely fantastic, and probably like one of the best single support pieces the deck could have asked for.
Great.
I'm so happy to have it. After that, we've got 3 Golden Hair. Golden Hair has become one of my favorite names in the past few weeks. The things she's able to help accomplish between pitching a card from the hand to summon herself from either the hand or the graveyard. Just having access to a tuner monster multiple times a turn is absolutely amazing and always great to have. She's a fantastic addition, and I love playing. Spoiler alert, we'll just put them out here. I play 3 of all the names. I think cutting names is absolutely incorrect. Technically you can, but then you risk not drawing any names, and I think that is much worse for your game plan when trying to play Adventure Plunder. You want to see as many names as possible, so I say playing 3 is just the way to go.
Great.
I've seen lists where people play 2 Redbeard, 2 Golden Hair, 2 Bluebeard, or 2 Black Eyes, and none of it feels correct to me. I won't even attempt to test without 3 names in the deck. I just can't do it to myself. They're all just good enough in their own right to where you want to see them in your hand to have the discards for the ships in the extra deck.
Fair enough.
If you don't have the discards, you're not playing with it. You can't do anything with it. After that, we have 3 Kashtira Fenrir. Kashtira Fenrir is just one of the best generic board breakers that you can play in your main deck. It's a good board breaking piece either going second or while going first. Your opponent having to play into this card is disgusting because it's inevitable to play into it. Your opponent's going to activate a monster effect. This card is just absolutely fantastic. Plus, it searches another one of itself, so if they do break your board, you have instant follow-up.
Yeah, it's a great card right now, especially with just being able to special attack over SP and then do your thing.
Yeah. No, the card's actually insane. It's so good because it can, again, like you said, it baits out SP Little Knight. Plus, it can search another copy of itself, so you just always either have discard fodder or follow up for the next turn.
It's huge.
It's so good, and at the current moment, there's nothing really to play over it except other hand traps, but why give up on the board breaking potential of Fenrir? It's just not worth it right now.
It's good going first and second, so.
Yep, no, literally it is. It's so good. After that, we have the start to the Adventure Engine, 3 Water Enchantress of the Temple. Water Enchantress is absolutely disgusting. Being able to search Rite of Aramis gives you access to the Adventure Engine. The card advantage that the Adventure Engine gives Plunder Patrol is amazing. It almost means that I almost always have 5 cards in my hand at the end of my turn or the start of my opponent's turn. After making a full board, I can have that many cards in my hand because of the Adventure Engine and the free card advantage it gives us. You want about as much access to it as you can. I play what I feel is right, and that's 3 water, and I only have 2 right, as you'll find out in a minute. The 1 Griffin Rider
We have to play it.
You gotta play it.
It's the GOAT.
You gotta play the Griffin. You literally can't avoid it. Then I have 3 Ash Blossom in the deck to finish out the monsters that I play in my deck. Ash is just generically the best hand trap that's legal at the moment. That's all I gotta say. It's just generically the best hand trap. Then starting off the spell lineup, we have 3 Plunder Patrol Shipyard. Shipyard is probably the best card in the deck, by far, bar none. It doesn't even come close to anything else in the deck. Discarding any card to get access to your Plunder Patrol engine is absolutely what the deck needs. I wish I had more access to this card than I do, because you always want to see this card. What it does, being able to add Plunder Patrol from the deck to hand, plus it gives all your Plunder Patrol monsters 500 attack for each Plunder Patrol card in your back row. It makes your guys beefy, and it gives you card advantage. It gets your engine going, it starts it, or it gives you even more than you already had. It's just always good, and you gotta play 3. You gotta play 3, you can't avoid it. Then we have the continuation to the Adventure Engine, being 2 Right, Fateful, and Dracoback. Have to play these. This is what gives you all the card advantage from the Adventure Engine. This card is so good, but can be a brick, but you gotta play these. You can't avoid them. If you're not playing them, what are you doing? This is bouncing cards on the field is one of the best ways of removal, because it stops tier limit effects from triggering, especially in current format. That's
huge.
Necessary. This being able to search this plus Griffin Rider, Water Enchantress to get you access to more cards in your hand, fantastic. Absolutely broken. I was originally playing 3 of this, but I've cut it to 2 because of the amount of times I opened 2 or 3 copies of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you'd rather see Water Enchantress to search this than open it. If you open Water Enchantress and this, that's completely fine, but you don't want to have too many copies of this in your hand, essentially. So I believe playing 2 is correct. If you play 3, more power to you. That's all I gotta say.
Fair enough.
I don't hate you for playing 3 of it, but I will only play I'll only play the 2 of it. That's just what I found to be the best ratios for me personally. Then we go on to generic spell and trap cards, being 3 Forbidden Droplet.
How do you like Droplet in the deck?
I love Droplet in the deck. There's a lot of cards that you can either send from your hand or your field to the graveyard that'll give you card advantage. So this is usually a free card, because if you I love setting Droplet on my turn to have it for my opponent's turn, because if you send Draco back from your field after resolution of Droplet, it just re-equips itself to the monster.
Yeah, that's so nuts.
It's absolutely disgusting, and it's cards like that, because you can also pitch Plunder Patrol names from your hand, and then they trigger their effects in the graveyard to give you card advantage on your opponent's turn, or even on your turn if you want to negate something while going second. This card is just all around broken and amazing. I absolutely love it in this deck, especially since Arise Heart's now banned. You don't have to worry about it being dead at all, basically, except
when the tier name mills you, but
yeah,
you know, those are the unlucky situations, I guess, that you can't avoid. You are going to run 2 Draco back.
No, you can't afford to run 2 Draco back. Then you just open it more. You just can't risk it.
Yep.
After that, 2 Triple Tactics Talents.
How do you like Talents in the deck?
Talents is just one of the best cards in the format at the moment for me. Your opponent is almost guaranteed to hand trap you unless they're playing something like Pendulum, meaning that this is almost always a live card going first or going second, and it has the Change of Heart effect, it has the Hand Rip effect, and then it's also just Pot of Greed if you want to draw 2 cards if you don't have enough in-engine cards in your hand to get your deck actually going, or to play past when you got interrupted. The card advantage this card just gives, it's more than worth playing.
Do you see yourself ever playing Thrust in this deck, or do you not think there's a lot of good Thrust targets outside of the Talents?
At the current moment, the only other cards that you can really get off of Thrust would be these 2.
Yeah, so not really that great unless you had a package.
Yeah. I would consider playing Thrust. It's just at the current moment it costs a lot of money. So at the current moment, I don't feel comfortable spending that much money on it, especially since there's potential for it to get hit. I'm not too worried about it getting hit. That's not the big reason. It's just...
Or reprinted.
Yeah, I just want to wait a little bit before, like, committing to it because of how much it costs, because it's just so much money at the moment that I don't feel comfortable.
I think Talents is just actually a better card in general for the deck.
Yeah.
Like Thrust, you can certainly still run, but you have to build a package around that. So I think Talents is generically just great in your deck.
Yeah, no,
Could you ever see yourself going to 3, or you think 2 is just fine?
I think that 2 is the correct ratio, because if you use the draw 2 effect and you draw 2 other talents, you just drew 2 dead cards. If you draw 1, you still drew a card that's not talents. So running 3, it's just not worth risk drawing 2 more copies of talents or even another copy. You don't run that risk as often. You may not see it as often, but I think that 2 is correct.
Sounds good.
I might one day put 3, but I don't think I'm going to do it. You just don't want to see too many in your hand. That's just the only thing that's that would bother me, is seeing too many in my hand. That's why I think 2 is correct, because at 1, you don't see it at all. At 3, you're going to see it too much. Personal experience, just trust me. The last card in the deck is probably one of the strongest spell cards I think ever created, being Called by the Grave. Being able to stop hand traps or interrupting your opponent on their turn by, I don't know, again, hitting a tier limit name when it's trying to resolve with this. That's devastating. So
Just makes sense in your deck. Just get through those hand traps that will normally stop you.
Droll and Lockbird is a really good hit to this deck. So having a card that can just stop that, so you can play the adventure engine in your deck.
Yeah.
You just kind of need Called by the Grave. There are lists that don't play it, and I don't know if they just forgot about it while deck building, or they just thought, oh no, it's not necessary. It's necessary. Your opponent's almost always
In a hand trap meta, especially. So
I could see it in a board breaking meta where like Ash is the only hand trap that are in people's main decks and side decks. If there's only one, I could see not running it, but even then, it's one of those cards that you're going to consider. If you don't consider this card in almost any format, you're just being stupid. Like, just to be blunt, you're being stupid. This card's disgusting. Play it.
no traps?
There are no traps in my current main deck. I was running Impermanence, but I put in the droplets over Impermanence once Rise Heart was banned.
Sounds good.
Because of the card advantage droplet can give over Impermanence. There's definitely reasons to play Impermanence, like if you were playing Thrust. Play Impermanence, it's a normal trap card. You can set it if you don't want to get anything else. If you're playing Thrust, play Impermanence. That's my tip to you.
Alright, let's get into the extra deck then.
Yep. To start off the extra deck...
Wow, is that a Salamangreat card?
Yes, Salamangreat Almirage. It can be summoned using a normal summoned monster with 1,000 or less attack, which is every Plunder Patrol main deck name except for Whitebeard, who has 15. So it can help trigger Plunder Patrol effects, or it can put cards like Golden Hair in your graveyard, so you can use her graveyard effect to summon her, and then you have 2 monsters on your board, meaning you can make Blackbeard, because you have 2 monsters, and it takes 2 monsters, including a Plunder Patrol. So normal summon this, discard a card, summon this, link into Blackbeard.
Crazy.
1.5 combo to get to your main boss monster.
Let's go.
It's absolutely insane. Plus, there are plenty of times where I've been able to keep this on my end board alongside this. So you have the card effect protection alongside having your boss monster on the board. So
makes sense.
Almirage is just good and the best link one that this deck can play.
Why don't you run Almirage, Kyle, as a salad player? Why does he get to stunt on you and run a salad card that you will never run?
Barely a salad card.
Yeah, Almirage isn't even a salad card. It
I'm
just says Salamangreat on it.
Yeah.
I know we're mid-profile, but like, do you have a comment?
Almirage is an invoke card, bro. And a plunder card.
Buffalo is 1,400 attack. That's it.
Okay. Thank you.
There we go. Words of wisdom from Kyle. Buffalo has 1,400 attack. Blackbeard is the boss monster of the deck. It tags itself out into any of the other extra deck ships, depending on the attribute of monsters on your opponent's field and in their graveyard. And it draws you a card, so it's card advantage on top of getting you to the rest of your extra deck. It's absolutely fantastic, and you need 3 of it. You will run out of it if you only play 2 or 1 of it. You need 3 of it. After that, we have the Plunder Patrol ship names themselves. We have Brawn. Brawn banishes a spell or trap card on the field by discarding a Plunder Patrol from your hand and then searches a Plunder Patrol monster. And it becomes a quick effect while equipped. Spell and trap removal. is fantastic. I don't know if you knew this. It's just this card is so good. It either gets rid of cards your opponent is trying to set on their turn or cards they're trying to activate. It's really good against field spells and continuous cards because it can stop their resolution, and it's really good. Plus, this also gives all other fiend monsters on the field 500 attack points. So it also boosts up your other ships and other Plunder Patrol names, and if you wanted to play Plunder Patrol in an engine, keep that in mind. It boosts them by 500.
Sounds good.
After that, we got the literal best support piece this deck could have asked for in Plunder Patrol ship Yord, the Earth ship. There is too much to say about this card. This card is just generically the best card throughout probably the entire deck. It gives you, it summons tokens of an attribute of your choice when it's in the pendulum scale. It puts himself in the pendulum scale by adding a Plunder Patrol card from your grave to your hand. And if your opponent special summons a monster while it is in your main monster zone, you can add a Plunder Patrol from your deck to your hand. And if it is equipped, it summons one from your deck as well. It does not need to have a separate name, so you can summon Whitebeard and add Whitebeard.
Oh my gosh.
Meaning you can, and since each of its effects are once per turn, you can also tag out the Whitebeard and then also discard the Whitebeard for another ship effect and get both effects.
Yo!
No, these cards are just overall amazing. After that, we have the light ship being Lease. Lease is a monster negate by discarding a Plunder Patrol. It negates and destroys the monster effect that was activated, and it searches any Plunder Patrol card from your deck. Overall, fantastic. One of the best ships you make. I think that playing 2 of each of the ships, since there's only one left, we'll throw them on out here with him. Mark, you play 2 of each name because you want the extra deck space for other cards in your extra deck, so you don't want to play 3, but you want to be able to have access to this more than once in the duel, and if your first one gets run over or destroyed, you want to have 2 of each ship. Because it's just good to have. And this also can summon a Plunder Patrol from your hand or your back row during the main phase.
Nice. That's broken.
Yes, it's disgusting. It's free extension on top of being a monster negate. Who'd have thought that'd be good? Morik. This is the ship that I've considered playing 3 of the most. Morik is so good because of being able to make it just generically as an Xyz monster. It's a monster banish. Effect monster banish. It cannot banish tokens. Don't forget that. It will not banish a Nibiru token. Do not forget that. But against Purrely, this card is fantastic. When they attempt to Xyz summon by targeting a card in the graveyard, you banish their cat. This card is really good in just a lot of situations. And it also adds the shipyard from your deck to your hand, or other spell and trap cards if you play others. I currently don't, because none of them are really worth it at the moment. If they make a new one that's worth it, I'll run it. But at the current moment, not really.
Okay.
But I have considered playing 3 of this one just because having the monster banish comes up against a lot of decks. If you get into a good grind game and you run out of Morks, you could lose that game. It's one of those ones that's probably the best in the grind game besides Yord, in my personal opinion at least.
Let's see the rest.
After that, we have Abyss Dweller. Since Arise Heart is now banned, graveyard decks are going to be around a bit more. Decks like Tearlament are currently really good. Abyss Dweller helps in those matchups, being able to negate or make it so your opponent can't even activate card effects in the graveyard. Being able to stop graveyard decks for an entire turn is just game-winning at some points. It'll either win you the game or get you to a point where you can win the game. So Abyss Dweller is just generically one of the best Xyz monsters you could be making right now. I have White Aura Whale. White Aura Whale is an amazing card. It pops all attack position monsters upon Synchro Summon. It can attack monsters twice per turn. It inflicts piercing battle damage. And if it's destroyed, it banishes a water monster from the graveyard to resummon itself.
Wow.
So it's 2800, so it's big. It pops monsters. It attacks twice. It inflicts piercing, and it just comes back if they don't have an out to it. This card is absolutely fantastic. I varied on how good I thought it was, but every time I ever considered taking it out, I found myself in a position where I needed to make it to win a game or have a chance of winning a game, and I immediately thought, nope, you're not going anywhere. You're staying right there for these
Fair
tournaments.
enough.
The last card in the extra deck is Emancipated Risen Dragite. Because all of our monsters are water monsters, Dragite's effect becomes live as a spell negate, so it's a good option to run in the deck. And people who are probably getting to the end of this that might know Plunder Patrol know that most people run Bahamut Shark and Totally Awesome. Before people yell at me for not playing them, I have played them, and it's bad in this deck. Because if they have impermanence or Veil or anything like that to stop Shark, and you don't have the right names in your hand or in your graveyard, you're ending on a Bahamut Shark, and that's not good to do. It's really, really bad to have to end your turn because you got impermanence or Veilered, and I've had that happen before, and after that happened, I cut them. They're not bad, they're just not good in this deck like they are in other decks like Marincess. Decks that have a lot more access to not locking themselves into their own archetype. If Plunder Patrol didn't lock itself, I'd play Bahamut Shark and Toad because I wouldn't have to make them immediately. I can make them later in the combo because you can get to level 4s on your board after doing everything else. But since you lock yourself, it's just not worth it to me. You can run it if you want. Personally, I can't do it anymore.
Sounds good.
As a funny little last bit before we get onto the side deck, these are what I use as my adventure tokens and Plunder Patrol ship tokens. They're the GOAT tokens. I just figured I'd shout those out because my friend Sam gave them to us. So,
Leave a comment below if you want to see Tyler's Goat Warrior deck profile that he always owns me with.
yes, please let us know. I do have that. Last, we have the sideboard. Because we play the Adventure Engine, I play the one Illegal Knight.
How do you like Illegal Knight?
I have varied on how much I've loved it or disliked it, but I do love this card. It genuinely is really good at board breaking, and it comes up a lot where you need to just be able to bounce it. Plus, you can always bounce this back to your hand with Draco back, so you can have it multiple turns in a row. This card is really good, and I do believe you should be playing it. If you're playing the Adventure Engine, at least. After that, we have a few hand traps in the sideboard. I have 3 DD Crow and 2 Nibiru. 3 DD Crow because, again, decks like TEARLAMENTS,
Unchained, Purrely, hitting the quick play on Purrely.
Yeah, you got to be able to stop those decks from getting to their engine pieces, and this is a good way to do it. Also, Nibiru can do the same thing. This isn't as good anymore because of SP Little Knight, but it's still worth running. Against certain decks, at least. Because certain decks cannot avoid playing into this and will die to this, so it's just worth playing. After that, we have
the Kaiju package?
the Kaiju package. Now, a lot of people like to run the Light Kaiju over Santa Claus. You can if you want to. I like running Santa Claus because it's a lot smaller than 3,300 attack.
Yeah.
It's a lot smaller and easier to get over. So it's easier to get around it than the Kaiju can be.
Would you run Gamma Seals maybe for that reason?
The problem with that is you want the light attribute for the ships.
Got it. Makes
You
sense.
play the light, the dark, and the fire to have access to your ships.
Nice.
Or else I would be playing Gamma Seal.
That's huge,
Yep,
yeah.
Yep, that's why you play light, dark, and fire. It's because you want the ship access from your extra deck. Going second if you're not facing a deck, or even going first. If you have it in your hand or something like that, you'll figure it out once you start playing a bit, but being able to give yourself attributes in matchups where your opponent might not be playing certain attributes, giving them the attribute, then summoning the attribute, then getting rid of the Kaiju is really rewarding.
Yep.
Especially since you can Draco back those back to your hand. I won a set against our good friend Sam, the Marincess player, because I looped Kaijus on him, where I just kept bouncing it back to my hand. Anytime he would make a link 4, if it went back, it would go back to my turn.
That's broken.
There was nothing he could do about it, so...
Just great synergy all around with your deck.
Oh yeah, no, Kaijus... I think this is probably the deck that can use Kaijus the most efficiently at the moment. Personal opinion, obviously. I don't really know if another deck that can use them...
Tier can use them okay because they're good fusion materials, but
That's also
it sounds like you can use them a bit more.
Yeah, being board breaking potential, the board breaking potential, plus it allows me to use Blackbeard more efficiently sometimes. So the access they give me is just really nice in the deck. To finish out the side deck, we have Harpy's Feather Duster and Twin Twisters.
For the back row hate.
Yep, back row hate plus Twin Twisters over Lightning Storm.
Do you like the discard aspect for it?
Yes, because you can discard Plunder Patrol names, trigger their effects, get them in the graveyard, so you can use something like Golden Hair's effect in the graveyard, plus its spell and trap removal. It's just overall really nice in the deck. If you want to play something like Lightning Storm over it, be my guest. Go right ahead. If you want Lightning Storm, it works just as well. Just I like the potential to also trigger Plunder Patrol effects upon destroying back row cards.
Makes sense.
That's just my personal opinion. Maybe one day I'll change it. As of right now, this is how I love playing the deck, and I will continue to play it till something changes my opinion.
Goblins.
Maybe goblins. I might look at that deck, but I really love the pirates, so.
Sounds good, and we're still looking out for that last ship.
Yes, we are.
So thank you very much for the deck profile. I just wanted to ask before, because I know we will get comments, would you run SP Little Knight?
That's a card that I probably would consider running. It's just very hard to make on top of your end board without not making Yord with a lot of hands, because a lot of the times you have to go through a lot of your Plunder Patrol names to make Yord, then Blackbeard, and usually you can maybe get Dragite on that end board, but it takes certain hands, and ending on SP would be really good. It just takes certain hands, so if you wanted to, you could cut something like Dragite or White Aura Whale for SP, and that's completely fine. I think that that's completely fine, just because SP is a broken card. Just at the current moment, because my deck locks me into Plunder Patrol monsters, it's very hard to make.
Sounds
At
good.
the current moment, I'm not. Then it costs a lot of money, so.
We love living in an age where Yu-Gi-Oh is not affordable, but
Yeah, I mean, it's with that rarity collection, a lot of things are affordable now, but still a lot of staples
Yes.
are very affordable right now. So just at the current moment, I'm not playing it, but if you have the card and want to play it, by all means, there's definitely wiggle room in the extra deck that you can play SP in. So if you want to, be my guest.
Sounds
I
good.
just am not comfortable spending the money on it at the moment.
alrighty then. Thank you very much, Tyler, for the deck profile, and congratulations on doing well with it. And we will be seeing you guys later.
Peace.